Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the opportunity to meet in this fashion, dear Lord. We invite your presence into this our meeting. And whatever we do here, dear Lord, we ask that we will do it decently and in order. This is Black History Month, and we are here to talk about our ancestors who went ahead of us. Dear Heavenly Father, help us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day, your evening to be with us as we celebrate Black History Month. February is nationally known as Black History Month. It's the shortest month in the year, and it seems to be the busiest month in the year because there's just so much to celebrate during the month of February. We started off with Groundhog Day, which whether he sees his shadow or not, it's still 6 more weeks of winter. Then there's Valentine's Day. You know what that is for the lovers. Then there's President's Day when we celebrate President Lincoln and George Washington's birthday. February is also Heart Health Month. It's also Super Bowl Sunday. Wear Red Day, which is heart health, associated with Heart Health Month. And that is to raise awareness about the dangers and prevention of heart disease. But today we're here to celebrate Black History Month. What is Black History Month and why is it celebrated? Black History Month, celebrated in February, is a month dedicated to honor the rich cultural heritage, triumphs, and adversities that are part of America's history. Carter G. Woodson, an American historian, had a vision to encourage teaching of Black history in schools, a time to promote and educate people about Black history and its culture. This year's theme, Black Health and Wellness, which pays homage to medical scholars and healthcare providers. This theme is especially timely as we enter the third year. We're entering the third year of the COVID-19, which has disproportionately affected minority communities and placed unique burdens on healthcare professionals. In this neighborhood, we have lost so many to the COVID-19 disease, and so far, we have not had an opportunity to honor or celebrate all these lives that have been lost. But hopefully, this will not go as naught, but we will find time to do that. Black History Month, there are so many known individuals that we honor. There's so many that we have celebrated their achievements, but there are so many unknowns, which we call the unsung hero. And I will read about this one. Actually, he appeared in the movie Men of Honor, starring Cuba Gooding, featuring, we'll be talking about Carl Brashear, who was born in 1931 in Tonyville, Kentucky, the sixth of 8 children to sharecroppers McDonald and Gonzala Brashear. In 1935, the family settled on a farm in Sonora, Kentucky. He attended Sonora Grammar School in 1937 to 1946. He enlisted in the U.S. Navy, on February 25, 1948, 4 months before the military would be desegregated by President Harry S. Truman. Brashear graduated from the U.S. Navy Diving and Salvage School in 1954, becoming the first African American to attend and graduate from the Diving and Salvage School, and one of the first African American U.S. Navy divers. While attending diving school in Bayonne, New Jersey, Brashear faced hostility and racism. He found notes on his bunk saying, "We are going to drown you today, nigger, and we don't want any nigger divers." He received encouragement to finish from his boatswain's mate, First Class Harry M. Rutherford, and he graduated in his class 16 out of 17. Brashear first worked as a diver, retrieving approximately 16,000 rounds of ammunition that fell off a barge, which had broken in half and sunk. On his first tour of duty in Rhode Island, his duties included the salvaging of airplanes, including the Blue Angels, and recovering multiple dead bodies. He was assigned to escort the presidential yacht, Barbara Ann, to Rhode Island. There he met President Dwight Eisenhower, who gave him a small knife that read, "To Carl M. Brashear, from Dwight D. Eisenhower, 1957. Many, many thanks." After becoming chief in 1959, he stayed at Guam for 3 years, doing mostly demolition dives. In January 1966, in an accident now known as the Palomares incident, a B-28 nuclear bomb was lost on the coast of Palomares, Spain, after two aircrafts collided during aerial refueling. Brashear was serving abroad, United States hoist, when it was dispatched to find and recover the missing bomb for the Air Force. The warhead was found after 2.5 months of searching. For his service in helping to retrieve the bomb, he was awarded the Navy and Marine Corps Medal, the highest Navy award for non-combat heroism. During the bomb recovery operations, a line used for towing broke loose, causing a pipe to strike Brashear's left leg below the knee, nearly shearing it off. He was evacuated to Torrejon Air Base in Spain, then to the United States Air Force Hospital in Wiesbaden Air Force, Germany, and finally to the Naval Hospital in Portsmouth, Virginia. Beset with persistent infections and necrosis, his lower left leg had to be amputated. He remained at the hospital in Portsmouth, recovering and rehabilitating. From March 1967 to March 1968, he was assigned to the Harbor Clearance Unit 2 diving school, preparing for return to full active duty and diving. After a long struggle, in 1968, he was the first amputee diver to be recertified as a United States Navy diver. In 1970, he became the first African-American master diver and served 9 more years, achieving the rating of Master Chief Boatswain's Mate in 1971. Brashear was motivated by his belief that it's a sin to get knocked down. It's a sin to stay down. And I ain't going to let nobody steal my dream. He retired from the U.S. Navy on April 1st, 1979 as a Master Chief Petty Officer and Master Diver. He then served as a civilian employee for the government at Naval Station, Norfolk, Virginia, and retired in 1993 with the grade of GS-11. Cuba Gooden awarded Mr. Brashear with an Outstanding Public Service Award in October 2000. He died on July 25, 2006. Since then, his son started the Carl Brashear Foundation in his honor. So this is a true story. My husband was watching this movie. I saw it and I said, wow. Then I thought about his resilience and his determination. And I said, wow, I could do that for Black History Month. So hopefully we have learned about someone new and unsung hero. And he was a hero. And that's my presentation for Black History Month. Ms. Sadie, do you want to?
Oh, I'll continue with good afternoon, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
And happy Black History Month. And as we know, the purpose for celebrating Black History Month, which is also, we call it African History Month. And we are going to talk a little about the purpose tonight. And it's really of utmost importance that I say that we know who we are, because sometimes we don't really know who we are and why we are. And there's a saying that she or he who knows others is wise, but she or he who knows herself or himself is enlightened. And self-knowledge is truly powerful and liberating. So whether we call ourselves Black, African Americans, Caribbean Americans, or whatever we choose, we are all Africans in America, and our experiences are many and varied. It is therefore our responsibility to make sure that these experiences are shared and preserved for the benefit of future generations. What I find most crippling for us is our lack of the knowledge of our history, our own history. So tonight, although it's wonderful that during this celebration, we recall the names of the historical legends and speak glowingly of their contributions, that, my friends, is not enough. Our goal should be that their works are institutionalized and the method created or designed to secure and sustain this rich legacy, as well as an able receptacle of sort for the addition of contributions from successive generations. So we have work to do. And as documented, Black History Month was first proposed by the Black educator and the Black students at Kent State University in February 1969. The first Black History Month celebration took place at Kent State a year later, and that lasted from January 2nd to February 28th, and that was in 1970. 6 years later, Black History Month was being celebrated all across the country in educational institutions, centers of Black culture, and community centers, both great and small. This caught the eye and the attention of none other than President Gerald Ford. It was Black History Month in 1976, during the celebration of the United States bicentennial, that Ford urged Americans to seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans in every area of endeavor throughout our history. But as we remember, the precursor to Black History Month, however, was created in 1926 in the United States when the historian Carter G. Woodson and the Association of the Study of Negro Life and History announced that the second week of February to be Negro History Week. This week was chosen because it coincided with the birthday of Abraham Lincoln, which was on February 12th, and that of Frederick Douglass, which was on February 14th, both of which dates Black communities as celebrated together since the late 19th century. Negro History Week was the center of this equation. The thought process behind the week was never really recorded, but scholars acknowledged two reasons for its birth, which was its recognition and the importance. Woodson felt deeply that at least 1 week would allow for the general movement to become something that would be annually celebrated. Also, after the 10-year-long effort to successfully complete his journal of Negro history, he realized the subject deserved to resonate with a greater audience. At that time of Negro History Week launch, Woodson contended that the teaching of Black history was essential to ensure the physical and intellectual survival of the race within the broader society. He further contended that if a race has no history, it has no worthwhile tradition, and it would become a negligible factor in the thought of the world, and it stands in danger of being exterminated. It was further noted that the American Indians left no continuous record that show appreciation for the value of their tradition, and until today, it is still seen as a gross error. Whereas, on the other hand, the Hebrew keenly appreciated the value of his tradition, as is attested by the Bible itself. In spite of worldwide persecution, therefore, he is a great factor in our civilization today. The danger in us becoming weary of telling our own story will give others the opportunity to bastardize our being here. Our plight, our struggles, and the severity of our experiences will be diminished, and our resilience and overcoming spirit would be simply glossed over. Perfect example. Throughout the 1930s, Negro History Week countered the growing myth of the South's lost cause that epitomizes that both the novel and the film Gone with the Wind. That myth argued that slaves had been well treated and that the Civil War was a war of Northern aggression, and that Blacks had been better off under slavery. In his book, The Miseducation of the American Negro, Woodson clearly disputes this fallacy and reminds us that when you control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his actions. You do not have to tell him not to stand here or to go yonder. He will find his place and stay in it. Another thinker, known as Ras Jomo Akona, the executive vice president of Juneteenth, states that the Juneteenth celebration is about us controlling our own narrative and reclaiming the knowledge of previous generations. The mantra is represented by the symbol of Sankofa, which we know well. It's a bird facing backwards with food in its mouth and its feet facing forward. This symbol, Sankofa, was originated in Ghana, which means go back, fetch, and return. This is fact, in fact, is telling us that there's nothing wrong in going back to review our past history and to find out what happened then and to bring the good parts of that forward, whatever, and do whatever necessary to propel us forward. So in conclusion, although February is a short month, we will not complain. Instead, we will redouble our efforts and ensure that the mission of the 28 days of Black History Month is expressly for the gathering of substantive material and formulating strategies that will fuel and further the movement. So, as we honor our forebears and their contributions, we must strengthen our resolve to do our part. And as the saying goes in Jamaica, we will wheel and come again. Thank you and happy Black History Month.
Thank you, Miss Sadie. Miss Allen, do you have a presentation for us? Miss Allen?
Yes, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's wonderful to be amongst everyone this evening, and I hope that each person is doing well and your
Mr. Dillon, before you
family
begin,
as
could you
well.
like center yourself? Because it's like we're trying to capture you for the video, and it's kind of like your head is kind of cut off. There you go.
Oh, okay, sorry.
There you go. All right, thank you.
Yes. So I'm taking a look at someone that I found to be interesting, and I think she's very important in the role that she plays as it relates to parenting and how much, you know, she fought for the well-being of not only her son, but for us today. And that individual is Beulah May Donald. She was born in 1919 and she died in 1988. So Beulah May Gregory Donald is best known for filing a civil lawsuit against the United Klans of America after Donald's youngest child, Michael Donald, was found hanging from a tree in Mobile, Alabama on March 21st, 1981. Henry Hayes, 26-year-old at the time, and James Knowles, 17 at the time, members of the United Klans of America, were the individuals arrested for the murder. Following the murder of her son, Michael, Beulah May Donalds contacted the Southern Law Poverty Clinic in Montgomery, Alabama, and proceeded with an unprecedented lawsuit that would later establish a foundation for filing civil suits for damages involving hate groups and hate crimes committed. Beulah May Gregory was born on October 20, 1919, to Mary Holland Gregory, a laundress in Mobile, Alabama. Beulah May was the youngest of her family. She was pregnant with her first child in the 10th grade and stopped attending school to work. On April 15, 1936, 16-year-old Beulah May Gregory married William Miller for her first husband. Michael Donald, born July 24, 1961 in Mobile, was the youngest child for Beulah May from her second marriage with David Donald. The marriage quickly ended and she moved her family into a mobile housing project where she raised them as a single mother. Michael grew up in Mobile, attending Carver State Technical College in the city and worked at the Mobile Press Registry. On March 21st, 1991, 19-year-old Michael Donald was walking home from his sister's residence when two members of the United Clans lured him to their vehicle and kidnapped him, intending to kill him in retaliation for a murder of a white Mobile police officer by a black man. Despite his attempt to escape, the Klansman lynched Michael and then slit his throat to ensure he died. Initially, the Mobile police attempted to blame others, but Beulah May Donald remained convinced Klansmen were responsible for Michael's death. With a growing number of supporters who, in the summer of 1981, began demonstrations in downtown Mobile, Donald continued to pressure Mobile police to continue their investigations. Her effort gained national attention in 1983. The two Klansmen, Henry Hayes and James Knowles, were arrested, tried, and convicted for the number of crimes they committed. Michael Donald by a jury of 11 white and 1 black person. Hayes was executed for the murder of Knowles, received a life sentence in exchange for his testimony against Hayes. Donald, however, did not stop with the conviction. With the support of the Southern Poverty Law Center, she brought a lawsuit against the United Klans of America in 1984, which demanded that the organization be held responsible and accountable for the actions of its members. In February 1986, an all-white jury in Mobile returned a verdict awarding Donald $7 million. The judgment forced the bankruptcy of the United Klans of America, and in May 1986, the terrorist organization turned over the deed of their national headquarters building in Tulsa, Alabama, to Donald, along with other properties. Her lawsuit set a precedent for other legal action against violent white supremacist organizations. Beulah May Donald remained in Mobile, Alabama until she died on September 17, 1988, of natural causes at a Mobile hospital. She was 69 years old. I think this was very interesting because of, the many things that we see even on today where, so many heinous crime against people of color. But we know that based on this sets a precedence that we can, if that should occur with any of us, we have this means where we can also, place lawsuit against these companies. Not that it will bring our loved ones back, but just the mere fact that they're held accountable. Thank you so much.
Thank you. At this time, Mrs. Borsari would like to do a presentation. Miss Carla, she's getting on the phone.
Oh. Hello, it's Carmen. Were we supposed to have a biography about Black?
Miss Clark, can you hear me now?
Carmen,
Yes, we can hear you.
You can hear me?
Okay. Yes.
Wait a minute, Carmen, please.
So, what? Sorry, is it my turn?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I was asked to say a few words about one of the lesser sung heroes of the civil rights movement. So I'm going to say a few short words about Georgia Gilmore, who was very instrumental in supporting Rosa Parks and Dr. King. So if your education was anything like mine, here in New York, by 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, all we knew about, all we were told about was Rosa Parks and Dr. King. But I ran across a reference to Georgia Gilmore, who was a key supporter of the 1955 Montgomery bus boycott. So she cooked for the protesters. You know, and there's a saying here that an army does not march on an empty stomach. So she cooked for the protesters. But then, after testifying at Dr. King's trial, she lost her job at the restaurant where she worked. But then she started cooking out of her own kitchen. It was reported that Dr. King gave her the seed money to start a business out of her own kitchen. So she organized a group of women to cook called the Club from Nowhere, which apparently was a way to hide the purpose of the group from people who did not agree with their views. So this group of women cooked and sold their goods to black and white customers alike around town. They were supporting the desegregation of Montgomery buses in the 50s. So they finally achieved their goal in 1956 when the Supreme Court desegregated the Montgomery buses in 1956. And then later, in the 60s and 70s, many civil rights leaders and supporters ate at her home, including President Lyndon Johnson and Attorney General Robert Kennedy. So Georgia Gilmore was famous for her sweet potato pies and fried chicken. And I discovered this whole story serendipitously when I read a book review about a children's book. So if any of you have 4 to 8-year-olds running around, this might be a good gift. It's called Sweet Justice by Mara Rockcliffe, and it tells her story about how she sustained this movement with food. And, you know, finally achieved results in 1956. So that's it for me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carla, for your contribution.
Okay,
Thanks a lot.
you're welcome.
We appreciate you and your help. And of course,
Okay.
we've learned something new. At least I
Yes,
have.
if anybody wants the information on this book, I'd be happy to send it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
See, no wonder we love our fried chicken and macaroni and cheese. It's coming from way back then. And don't forget the collard green.
Yes, well,
I
you
know
know, that's how an army marches.
I see
Okay, thank you.
Carmen had a
Absolutely.
question. Can somebody respond
Sure.
to Carmen?
Carmen, are you still there?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry, I missed part of that.
Yes. I couldn't get into my laptop. I don't know, and it was hard for me to get into my cell phone. But I am in my cell phone. But my question was, do we have to have a biography on famous black women or men? Because I
We were asked to prepare that for today, so we could
Oh
have
well.
presented it today for our program.
Oh well, I didn't, but I do have a story about maybe Till Mobley, which I just finished doing seeing her series with her son Emmett Till. I mean, that was to me that was a very strong, famous woman back in Mississippi. I don't know if you did anybody see the series on TV?
I
Oh
have
no,
not.
I'm sorry I didn't.
I've read the
Uh,
book though.
you did anyway. But I did it. It was five 1 hour sitcom series, and it was very interesting what happened back in 1955. I mean, I lived. I think I lived the segregation. You know, with my husband. My husband was dark, and I was light, and it was awful for me. I mean, it was a very depressing um, uh, encounter that I had in Baltimore, Maryland. I will never ever visit Baltimore, Maryland. No offense to anybody that loves Maryland.
Mm,
Um, my husband was an army man, and I went to spend a couple of months with him over there at the base. And we happened to go outside to have a dinner in a restaurant. And when we went in, the guy looked at me, looked at him, and he said, when I said we wanted to, have a sit down, and he turns around, a white guy, he turns around, well, I will serve you, but I will not serve him. My tears came down, and I thought I was gonna. If I had enough strength, and I didn't want to be put in jail, I would have gouged that guy's mouth with his. So I know what it is to have segregation, around me, around areas that I have been. But going back to Mamie Till's Mobley, her son was Emeritus. Emmett Till. Emmett Till. I guess everybody has to know who Emmett Till is. That he was beaten because he happened to go to a store. He had been in Chicago, but his uncle wanted him to go to Mississippi. So he went to Mississippi and to spend the summer with his uncle. So the kids, there were around 4 or 5 young kids. They went to the store in there, Mississippi, and he happened to be wanted to buy something in the store, but the other kids stay outside. And the white woman said that he was messing with her. So to make a long story short, they took him in, and middle of the night, I think it was the Ku Klux Klan, but they did not. They knew who they were. They didn't dress with the sheet, but they took him out, and they not arrested him. They just took him out, and I think what they did was they beat him, and then went to court. And she fought for that. She fought for his life. And it's very interesting, what happened in 1955. And there are places right now that is still, segregated with different kinds of towns and things like that. But that was my my contribution to the ladies that just came out and talked about their different heroes. For me, my hero at this time, besides Rosa Parks and everybody else, Mamie Till's Mobley was another hero for the Black movement. That's it. Hello?
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Did anybody hear what I was saying?
Yes, we heard you.
Yes, we heard
Great.
everything.
We heard you.
Thanks so much. Yes,
That's too
well
much.
done. No, no, no. Thank you, thank
Well,
you. We're
yeah,
sorry for what you had to go through then, but we know what
yeah,
life was like. Yes.
yes.
Miss Hannah, I'm sorry, Miss Hannah Godpale, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. So,
Gadfly. Yeah, I'm here. Um,
welcome. Now I
thank
see your beautiful face.
thank you.
Welcome to the Libraries and Cultural Affairs Committee. Hannah is our newest member, and we welcome you. Can't wait to see what you can do or what you will do.
Thank you.
Maybe
Um,
we can learn
And
from you.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Claude. Let me ask you, do you want to share your screen? Do you have a presentation?
I just have it's not really a presentation, it's just a picture and words.
Okay, you can share your screen.
Okay.
Just to let you know that. Okay, if you want to.
So for my presentation, I decided to do Bessie Coleman. Bessie Coleman was the first, oh, sorry, was the first Black woman in the world to earn a pilot's license. She was a famous pilot and became well known for her stunt flying and aerial tricks. She refused to speak anywhere that was segregated or discriminated against African Americans. In 1922, she performed the first public flight by an African American woman. She loved doing the loop-the-loops and making the shape of an 8 in an airplane. She toured the country barnstorming, parachute jumping, and giving lectures to raise money for an African American flying school. Tragically, her life and dream ended in her untimely death on April 30th, 1926, during an exhibition accident when she fell from the plane and died instantly. However, she left a substantial legacy because of her modeling a pathway for women and people of color in aviation grew. This extraordinary woman was a pioneer in aviation, helping to break barriers for both African Americans and women.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
That was well done. So we look forward to working with you and having you do many more beautiful projects with us.
Thank you.
Miss Lisa Hayes, you're on.
Okay. So I am going to do Ethel Hedgeman Lau. So I'm going to read for you all. So just bear with me and I can send a picture after.
The name?
Ethel Hedgeman Lau. So I can send it out, and I'll put it in the chat as well.
Okay.
So, okay. Okay. In a phrase, she was a builder of women, the daughter of a mother who was among the first colored women in St. Louis to qualify for a teaching position, and a father who was a janitor and a community leader. Ethel Hedgeman Lau was born on February 10th in 1887 in St. Louis, Missouri, just one generation removed from slavery. Yet, despite her socially restricted upbringing, set against the backdrop of segregation, misogyny, classism, and racism that were the rule, she dared to dream and inspire beyond her station. Rather than being subjected by socioeconomic or racial conditions that could have easily confined her, Hedgeman Lau chose instead to rise above them by enrolling at the then segregated Howard University, HU, right, as a student on a scholarship. This speaks to her tenacity and courage, given that an African American and an African American woman, no less, seeking higher education on a collegiate level in the early 1900s in this country meant breaking the cycle of Black women barely completing primary school education before being regulated to the life of a domestic, a sharecropper, or unskilled worker. So I will go on. Hedgeman Lau personifies the challenges and trumpets of being a Negro woman of her time. As a contemporary, Zora Neale Hurston once wrote, "To be a Negro woman is to be the mule of this world." It is against this backdrop of a segregated and hostile America that Hedgeman Lau mustered up the courage and soul to set her sights higher. She understood equalizing the power of good education and that her goals and aspirations, as well as those of younger women like her, could only achieve with such an education. So, her accomplishments for her people were realized before she reached the age of 21. Despite nearly an insurmountable odds, her passion led her to charge 8 of her fellow Howard University undergrad classmates to join her in 1908, forming the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, the first Greek letter organization established for college-trained African Americans, women, excuse me. And this was but the first of many of her subsequent crowning achievements. But it was the formation of the sorority that spawned what has become an incorporated international women's organization in possession of more than 30 registered copyrights and among many other achievements. Almost more than 114 years later, it has grown to an active international membership of over 300,000 working through, though it is more than 1,000 national and international graduate and undergraduate chapters. A multi-million dollar endowed educational foundation with the goals of affecting positive and enduring social, economic, educational, political, and cultural change in this nation and around the globe. So that was Ethel Hedgeman Lau. She was the founder of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, which, as I said, is the first Black women's organization and collegiate organization, and would follow many others like Delta Sigma Theta and Zetas and a bunch of others. And so I just wanted to honor her because I am a part of that organization, but also because of the service to all mankind that she has challenged, and it has lasted 114 years. So thank you.
Very good.
Thank you so much, Lisa. That was great. Thank you so much. I think you all did well. I thank you very much. There's a note here from Miss Allen. These presentations are great. Can we compile all of them as one presentation that can be shared with the board? Dr. Burke, your ears, please. Did you hear that? Do you have a reply?
Well, what I would like to see personally is something, and again, I know AFA did this last year, was, I don't mind if you, do a short snippet, maybe 10 to 15-minute summary of everybody that you presented, because I know that we have a couple of votes that are going to be taking place this month. Plus, and I would imagine that because there are things that we did not discuss last month, and I do believe that we may have another land use vote to take. We may have to, I don't mind doing it, but it would have to be like short in nature. So I'm thinking no more than, 5 minutes. But what I'm going to promote in my next chat is that people would come in and listen to what you ladies presented this evening. I think from my perspective, some of the stories I was aware of, and then obviously some that I was not aware of. I mean, a few that I wasn't, but for the most part, one thing I can say is that, as usual, this was a great presentation. So what I would say, Mrs. Allen, to answer your question, is if we do it, let's put together no more than a 10-minute presentation where I would like to also see, just quick, 2 or 3 bullet points per slide, maybe, or maybe 4, bullet points per slide per person. And that's something that we can get done with quickly, but somebody who could, put the PowerPoint together and then go from there. What I would also do is, well, Sydney's on here too, is that, at some point that you may do a little small piece for their newsletter, because that's one of the things that she and, Keisha are going to be talking about this month that we didn't do last month. So that would be my suggestion, to make it a small presentation. If we can fit it in, then we'll fit it in. And if we can't, then we'll just have it for the board to review.
Or because you have such a heavy schedule or agenda for our next meeting, since the prior meeting had to be cut short, I was thinking that we could just do a report. I would just do a report.
Yeah, that's
And then
fine. I
we'll
mean,
just
whatever you want to do, whatever
send
you
out
want
with
to,
the minutes.
right.
But
Yeah, whatever you want to do, Mrs. Cloud, is fine by me. I think I was just trying to, answer Mrs. Allen's question, that what you also could do if you want to do a presentation. I mean, it's up to you. Is being that you guys normally do a Women's History Month presentation, is that I would pick, maybe no more than 3 people between this month and next month. And if there's time in March, we can do it like that. But yeah, I would say February is going to be a packed meeting. So if you just want to do a report, that's fine by me. Whatever you ladies want to do, I'm gonna support you.
Thank you very much. Okay,
Clark, you have a
so
question?
Lisa, you have a question?
No, well, not a question. I was going to say, I think that March might be better because, people
Yes,
are going to be a little antsy coming February. We're praying for
yes.
joy, but you never know. And then I will volunteer if everybody sends me, or if Ms. Claude, I guess Ms. Claude, if it's okay, they can send it to you and then you can forward it all to me and I can put together a little presentation. Even if we're not able to present it in February or March, we can just send it out for the board, just so they know, just like Ursula sends out all the rest of the information, we can send it out like that,
Right.
so they know that we're very active.
Okay, thank you very much. At least we have options. So we'll look through them and see which one we will do. But making a presentation of compiling everything, I think that's a great idea. So we'll do that. Okay, I skipped over one item on our agenda. We'll just take a few minutes now to brainstorm and see what we can talk about for the rest of the year. Well, next month is March, which is Women's History Month. We should be covered for that. But then beyond that, April through June. And then, of course, we have September, October, and November. So April is Financial Literacy Month. So you guys, do you think we can do a workshop on that? It's also Child Abuse Awareness Month.
Well, I think financial literacy is a great topic. Not that Child Abuse Awareness Month.
Yeah, right.
But I think financial literacy is something that we can put together. I think between all of us, or even if we reached out into the greater board, that maybe somebody wouldn't mind creating a presentation as well. I know that we are trying to get more economic development. And so one way to do so, right, is to increase financial literacy. And maybe it's just something small like quick ways to improve your credit, or just like little stuff. I know we always have people coming in to present, but maybe if they hear it from home, it may hit home a little better.
And if we might even have people on the board, we don't know who would be able to do this. But
Actually, you do have a financial
It's
planner in Ted James is a financial planner. That's what he does for a
right.
living.
Yes, I thought about him.
Yeah. So
And he's usually at these meetings, but he's not here today. I thought about him. I will ask him. As for April. May is we have Mother's Day during the month of May. We could do something similar to this, or we could have a speaker. June is Father's Day is within the month of June, and it's also Men's Heart Rhythm Month. Just for men, heart. Isn't that something? Men's heart. So that's something we could certainly look into that.
Miss Chloe, I'm sorry. Before you move on, can I just go back? Since they are working or will be working on a newsletter, Keisha, right? And Miss Sydney, since they're going to be working, and we can't probably do everything, but perhaps we can submit little pieces. Like, since you mentioned Child Abuse Awareness Month, maybe we can submit little pieces to the newsletter, like about excuse me,
Child
abuse.
awareness.
And then if
Child
we do
abuse.
this, and forgive me if I'm over talking, but
No,
if
no, no.
we, okay, if we also do the same kind of idea for Mother's Day for May, I think if we look at it with intentionality of like, what are we missing? Not necessarily what are we missing from the board, but what we can develop on the board. So, like, I don't know, maybe relationships, or maybe we highlight mothers and community development. Maybe like people who, I don't know, who've been on the board, or um I know one year we were able to honor one of our own, and I thought that was very exciting. So maybe we think about something like that again. I don't know, just a thought. And yeah, it would be nice to honor the fathers and just the men who are fathering our community. I think that sometimes, a lot of the people who are doing the work in the community sometimes don't have children. So, but they are fathering and mothering. So maybe we can also highlight those people.
Great idea. Great idea. Yes, that's something we really should look into, especially our men, because it's almost like some of them do work hard, some of them are out there, but we don't seem to recognize them as much as we do our women. So yes, we will look into the men. Look into doing that for men. That's right. Thank you, Lisa. So we have a few months covered. We're covered until I think June. Then we'll have to worry about September onward. September, October. Well, October is known as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Maybe I could have someone come in and speak about that or speak on that. And who knows where we'll be if we are back in the carriage house. Maybe we could do this on a Saturday, just throwing things out there. Maybe even have a van if, where we would have to order that very soon, where we could have breast examination, mammograms.
Oh, I think that's awesome.
Something that we could.
I have a
Go
question.
ahead, Lisa.
Thank you for September. So this has been like on my mind a lot. I know sometimes when people come up for community speaks, especially because they only have 3 minutes, and it's just human nature sometimes to ramble on. I was just curious, would it be, and y'all could tell me no, Lisa, it's not appropriate, but would it be appropriate to do maybe since September is like a back to work, back to school kind of month, like a training about how the community speaks, like the best way to put your ideas forward, and like the best way to just kind of communicate your ideas, not just in the 3 minutes, but what it looks like to first follow up, and what it looks like to maybe introduce your idea before community speaks. Like that sort of low key training. That's not a good idea, or is it? And it's okay.
Would you spearhead that, Lisa?
Yeah, I will spearhead that. I'm in for training. That is, I'm trained to
Okay.
train. Yeah, so I got
Okay.
you on that. Yeah.
Okay.
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 If it's appropriate though, that's that, because I don't want anyone. I can do it so no one's offended, but I also know. I just wanted to bring that. I don't know.
Dr. Burke, can you speak to that?
I'm listening to y'all.
I know you're listening, but
you know, Mrs. Cloud, when you can just sit back and just listen and not have to lead the
I
meeting,
know, but we do
it's
need, we do,
absolutely fantastic. So whatever y'all come up with is, look,
we're planning. So we just, as Lisa said, would that be appropriate? So we
you
just
know,
need to know from you.
I
Carla,
think,
Would
what you
that
think?
be appropriate?
yeah, I mean, you know, if I guess what I'm trying to, I guess, understand is that, you know, it for me, you know, if I say you have 3 minutes to speak, then that means that you need to have your ideas
Yeah.
ready in 3 minutes. You know, there are people that, to, you know, Lisa's point, that want to get up there and ramble on. I'm just like, okay, well, look, you got 3 minutes. You need to have, you know, point A, point B, and point C listed, and then you need to be done in 2 minutes time, and then have a minute for question and answers. That's how I would do it. But, you know, I guess that's what I'm trying to understand, Lisa. Are you saying that people do not know how to present during the community speaks? Is
I'm
that?
not saying that they don't. I just think there is a more effective way. So what you described, I guess a better way to pitch it would be an elevator pitch, right? Because in essence, that's what they're doing for their ideas. If you want to get up there, you want to tell people what it is you need, why you need it, and like why people should support you, or how you're going to get whatever you need. And I think sometimes, because people are passionate, and rightfully so, a lot of what they need gets lost. And so yeah, I think it's elevator pitch training could work not just for the community board, but for other places. I don't know.
Well, that's fine
It-
by me. Like I said, it's up to the committee. You know, again, I'm going to support, you know, whatever you
It's,
guys do. Let me say this though before we
it,
begin. 'Cause
okay.
I see somebody that's on here that has been silent, and they can't be silent if they're going to participate in a community board. So I'd like to introduce you to Miss Jessica Samboy, which I'm glad to say is one of our newer board members in the class with Ms. Gatpeel. And just let you know, we're going to do our new member training soon. So, Jessica, first of all, welcome to not only board, but welcome to the Libraries and Cultural Affairs Committee. And although I'm not the chair, I just see you there. And so I'm sure Mrs. Clyde and Miss Sadie would like to hear from you as well, if you had any ideas as far as what they could present to the community at large.
Jessica, does she want to say something?
Silent. Maybe she's thinking about it. Okay, Lisa, referring to what you just spoke about, the training, the only problem I see there, well, I shouldn't say problem, but the people that we need to reach for this training, they might not be the people that you get.
Got it. Okay. Well, maybe it looks more like a write up in the newsletter, like some quick facts on how to present your community speaks so that people know how to do it. I think it's, and yeah, so, but that makes perfect sense. We don't want to be
Mhm.
preaching to the choir, so skip it.
And there's some people, it's once in a while, they might have some type of a problem that they need to be solved, or they're seeking ideas, and they just come once in a while. And when they come, they say what they have to say, but they would not benefit from this training.
No, I totally agree. That makes perfect sense.
But it's a great idea, the training. Um, that doesn't mean that you cannot do it, because who knows? There are other people on the board who might benefit from it. Or it's just a refresher course for some.
Okay, we'll definitely keep it in the year then. We've got some time to that.
Yeah, keep it in.
Okay. Thank you for
You're
listening.
welcome. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Any other concerns, any questions? Anyone has anything else they want to talk about? Hmm? I'm sorry. Any concerns? Any other idea? Okay. Hearing none. Ms.
Actually,
Sadie, do
I
you
thought
have
about
anything
something,
else to say?
and I forgot to mention this. Two things that we never really had a chance to work on, and we may still not get a chance to work on it. But one thing I was thinking between this committee and the Education Tolene's committee is I'm thinking of a science and or math fair, you know, is what I was thinking about. Or better yet, I think one of the things that I saw from you, Ms. Clyde, was in your student when they presented there for their scholarship, is to
Oh,
get some
okay.
of these kids that
Mhm.
don't know how to write, to how do you write an application for scholarships? I think, and by the way, I haven't forgotten about you, Mrs. Allen, with the question, because a lot of these kids wrote in, your student had the best application by far. And some of the ones that came to the board were quite frankly atrocious. So I think that maybe that's something, if there's some training between maybe this committee and the education committee, could come up with strategies to get these kids, especially being that you've got the Yankee scholarship that's coming up soon, where they're going to be giving out monies to, maybe put something like that together so that students will know how to do something like that. So that's just something that I'm thinking about, maybe, how to interview for a job or something like that. That may be strategies that you ladies may want to think about a little bit, later on in the year.
Good. That's good.
Good idea. I think that's good.
Right. Put together a resume of that.
Yeah, I mean, because I think, and I say that because again, as I said, Mrs. Clyde, I looked at the resumes for the high school students that came in, and again, only your student was the one that was absolutely exceptional. I mean, it was second to none because, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to, disparage anybody's child because I know that they do their absolute best, and I don't expect them, to be able to put a master resume together as a 15 or 16-year-old. But at the same time, we're trying to prepare these students for college and beyond. And I think one of the things that I noticed, when I was a college professor, was that a lot of things that students were able to get away with in high school, when they came to me, I'm like, that's not acceptable. And I think one of the things that, I think where we have, can do a better job of is training students for moving forward. So for instance, is we all know Hannah's going to be going to college in the fall. And so, again, what you had her do was absolutely fantastic. Is she prepares to do presentations when she gets to college. Hopefully she will have a leg up doing this, have a leg up on some of her counterparts that will be entering as well next year. And so that's something that I'm thinking about, that, as I said, between this committee and possibly teaming with the education committee, doing, let's spread the work out too, and so, do that. So that's just an idea that I had. But again, ladies, I'm not telling any of you what to do. You can, follow your own lead, and I'll support you in whatever that is.
Thank you very much. Miss Sadie, did you have anything else to say?
No, I think this was a very good evening and the presentations were wonderful. I'm really excited. Okay, I enjoyed every last one of them.
Say so. Thank you all very much. You all make me feel proud as chair of the committee. Thank you so much. Could not do this by myself, but I thank you all. Great job.
Thank you. Very good.
Yeah. Anything else? Any other concern? Any other idea?
I just want to say congratulations to the young ones who are new members of the board, you know. Thank you, young people. Thank you. You are the ones that really give me goosebumps, you know. I really do.
And please, we have next month. Next month is Women's History Month. We'll be doing maybe a presentation. I'll let you know what we'll do for next month. So hearing no one has anything else to say.
I just want to say in closing, again, yeah, Mose, I totally agree with that. I mean, the presentations were awesome. As chair of the board, you ladies were absolutely fantastic, but I really want to give a special shout out to Hannah and Miss Claudia, your mentoring of this young lady, and the rest of you. You know, again, even though, she's still so young, we really appreciate that. And even though we like where she's going, the fact that there's a mix of women from her own mom to her own relatives, her extended family that can help mentor and mold us. And just Hannah, you have all sorts of diverse women here. You have women that are, a little older than you, to of course women who can be your grandmother, you know what I mean? And they're every color and shade, even though you can't see Miss Ortiz, you can't see Miss Borsati, but all of these
I
women
can see her.
are.
She's here.
Yeah, Miss Versati's
No, you
there.
can see Carla, but you can't see Miss Ortiz. Is what I'm saying.
No.
What I'm saying is you have women of all shades that want to, be here for you. So on that note, Ms. Claude, you just need to call a meeting to end and call for a meeting for adjournment, and I can stop recording.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
No, I said all you have to do is call the meeting, call for a motion to adjourn the meeting. But I'm just proud of all of you. So thank you.
No, but you were talking. I wouldn't do that while you're speaking, Dr. Burke. No, I could not do that. I have to wait until you're done. Of course, I said my thank you, and thank God that we were able to meet. Everything went decently and in order. Very pleased and proud of everyone. Thank you again. Thank you. I hope everyone learned something new. I have. Thank you very much. You called for adjournment. Someone I make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Well, you're the chair, Mrs. Claus. So I'll make the motion. I make a motion that we adjourn the February meeting of the Library and Cultural Affairs Committee.
Second. Lisa Hayes.
Carmen Ortiz seconds it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night.
All. Good night.
Bye. Get home safely.
All in
Welcome.
favor?
Okay.
Aye.
Travel